So, Ryan, who do you think was the best singer in Black Sabbath?
I'm gonna go with Tony Martin.
And why would you go
Yeah.
with Tony Martin?
Well, I think that he just has like a pretty incredible range, honestly. I think that Ozzy had more charisma and Dio had a little more passion at times. But I think that Tony was able to just like shift between ranges with no effort. His performances were always really smooth, had really good melodies. And I just think he had like the most flexibility for songs. Um, he could go low, he could go really high, he could do like really chilling screams. Um, yeah, I just think that like he was just kind of like a Swiss Army knife. I guess the thing that was real big was that he was able to like go back and sing songs from like the Ozzy era live, to he was able to go back and sing songs from the Dio era live, and he was able to get pretty positive reception from people in the audience as well. And I've heard him doing some of those songs, and it's really cool too. I heard him doing Black Sabbath, like the song Black Sabbath live back in the 80s, and it was a really interesting take on it. He was able to get a little bit more like screamy and type stuff, like go for some higher notes and things like that. It was very interesting, honestly. Um, Now if we're going for like best front man, I'm gonna go with Ozzy. Um, but yeah, actual best vocalist, I'm gonna go with Tony Martin. What do you think?
Hard for me. I can't really argue with Tony Martin. The only thing is, and what we were talking about earlier, is as far as mid range, Tony Martin and Ronnie James Dio are like neck and neck.
Hmm.
If you go higher, I'd probably go Tony because he just had more range and strength in his voice. As far as who is more distinctive, it would definitely be Ronnie.
Hmm.
And if you go into the lower parts, like the whispering parts, that was all Ronnie.
Hmm.
Like I think a song like Don't Talk to Strangers, I think it really works with that beginning where Ronnie's barely going above a whisper.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we're gonna go out of Black Sabbath era too, I might have to give Ronnie more of an edge as well. Because I think his work with Rainbow is really where he shined his most. I really don't think that like, I mean, I think that Ronnie James Dio had some like real highlight vocal performances on songs like Sign of the Southern Cross or like Over and Over or Heaven and Hell. um, in terms of the Black Sabbath era. But I think like other than some of those highlight performances, he really wasn't showcasing him at his best. I think him at his best is like those Rainbow albums. Because I think that's even better than a lot of his solo stuff. And I think like his solo stuff, he had a lot of fantastic vocal performances too. Like all the fools sailed
That's
away,
what I thought of.
Last in Line. Um, lots of great stuff there as well. Rainbow in the Dark, like uh yeah, I just think like when you think of like those Rainbow albums, like Stargazer gives me chills every single time.
That's to me, that's his Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
I
No, I
don't
mean
think
I
he ever
think
sounded better than he did on Stargazer.
no, I mean if you're putting Stargazer up against Tony Martin, I'm gonna go with Ronnie James Dio.
Me too.
But in terms of Black Sabbath, I think I would probably give Tony the edge for like the output he did in Black Sabbath.
Right. And I was mentioning Don't Talk to Strangers, that was a Dio track. But when we were, if you think of his work in Sabbath. Yeah. Sign of the Southern Cross. That's his Mona Lisa in Sabbath
Hmm.
because he has to whisper the low whispering voice at the beginning. And then he just slowly goes into that very commanding voice over that verse.
Definitely.
I don't think he ever sounded as good in Sabbath as he did on that song. And maybe
Yeah,
Falling Off the Edge of the World too.
that's a great one. It's those and over for me. I think over and over, his vocal performance on that song gives me chills every single time. I think that's just a very emotional song as a whole. Like the guitar riff is really solemn on there too, but he belts out on that song. It's real beautiful. But I agree about Southern Sign of Southern Cross probably being his Mona Lisa with Black Sabbath. It's just a perfect song. That's why I love Mob Rules so much. I feel like in comparison to Heaven and Hell, I think that the riffs were bigger on Mob Rules when it's at its best. I think Ronnie sounded better on that album personally. Um, and I think that the band just sounded heavier on there. I think that Heaven and Hell, a lot of really amazing stuff on that album. A little bit of a lighter album though. Other than stuff like Die Young.
We were saying before, Heaven and Hell didn't sound quite as Sabbathy. I think when you go to Mob Rules, that's where the Doom part comes in.
Yeah,
Very little Doom on Heaven and Hell, but you got
definitely.
Doom on Mob Rules.
And also I think that album cover adds to that doom as well.
Yes.
So I was looking at the album covers earlier because we were talking about Eternal Idol, and forgot to mention that the one thing I think is a little weak on that album is the album cover. I'm not going to take away
Yeah.
from the album music as a whole, but I was ranking the album covers, and that one hit like 11th place.
Oh, okay.
Mob Rules, though, that's probably a top three Black Sabbath album cover, in my opinion.
Yeah, Mob Rules is yeah. Mob Rules, I would say, is one of the better covers, but yeah. Nah, that's no, it's not one of their better covers. I'll take it over Technical Ecstasy.
Yeah.
But
Well, that statue is called the Eternal Idol. That's why they used it.
okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's like an old statue. It's called the Eternal Idol. I just think it reminds me of what's that one White Snake album cover? Is it Saints and Sinners that has the statue, or is it um
I forget.
or is it I think it's that one
Okay.
where there's like a statue. It kind of reminds me of that. Like just kind of, it feels very generic to me. Whereas like I've always appreciated because it's just like a photo. Whereas I feel like when people like take the time to like draw a really good album cover, like Mob Rules, um, that's really cool. I mean, my favorite Black Sabbath album cover is probably the debut, even though that is a photo, but they
Yeah.
kind of manipulated it enough to make it look very free and
Actually, I think we're good there. Yeah, I think we're good. So let me just stop recording here. I'll see what I can